Our next guest is Dr. Michael Woodward, better known as Dr. Woody. He's an organizational psychologist, executive coach, media personality, and a self-described Dr. Phil of work, or as he calls it, a workologist. And he's here to take questions from the audience, so please send us your questions. He's actually back in New York after facilitating sessions in Monaco at the World Entrepreneur of the Year Forum, and joins us to talk about the future of work and global uncertainty in the business world. Welcome, Dr. Woody. Tell us about your occupation as a workologist. What is that?
Tell us what a workologist is.
Well, I have to say, before we start, I'm still in shock and a little freaked out from your previous guest talking about
The breast milk?
I have a 6-month-old. That is really weird.
So you don't want your wife to breastfeed you?
No, I do not.
Have you ever Googled
it? Very clear.
You need to check your Google searches.
Never even thought about Googling it.
Come on, guys. The title of the book was Everybody Lies. Okay, we can move past it.
I'm going to tell you right now, I am being very honest.
We believe you.
He can lie detector me if he wants to come back out here. So, well, thank you for the wonderful introduction. Yes,
absolutely.
I'm an organizational psychologist by training. I do not work with hoarders. I get that all the time. I'm not about organizing stuff. As you can see, I'm disorganized as it is.
It's like organizations, right? Correct.
But yeah, so most of my work is with management and executive development. And if I could boil it down to one simple thing, it's people not communicating. That's the single greatest challenge we have, is connecting with each other, getting a point across, understanding all the noise that happens between when we speak. And the fact is that we're all victims of living in our own heads. And so sometimes when I'm having a conversation with David in my head and not with him, it might be different. So yeah, that's more or less what I play around with.
So that's what a workologist is? What is that?
Well, the workologist, I just made that part up. It just seemed easier.
Well, it sounds catchy.
My PhD is in industrial and organizational psychologist, which is so jacked up and strange. So I just said workologist. It seemed to make sense. So.
Gotcha. Okay, so as a workologist, what would you? And we also live in a world where like people work remotely. Do you think that is hurting or helping people communicate in the workplace?
Look, I think the reality is we need to work remotely and we need to learn how to do it effectively. Now, from my background in training as a psychologist, sure, face-to-face interaction it can't be matched by technology. And you know this even if you have someone on a live remote, the person in the box on the screen, you're not looking at them, right? You're not getting that real-time energy and feedback from each other. So can that ever be replaced? You know, as to my knowledge now, no. I know AI is getting rapidly gaining in what it can do to facilitate human interaction. But that said, I think you have to be strategic about when you get people together, when you need to get them together, and when you don't. Look, for most work today, especially in sort of the professional white-collar type of jobs that you see here in New York City, you don't need people in the office. Right? You can text, you can email, and you don't need people at set times. We're in a global world now. You know, I was 6 hours ahead just 2 days ago, right, working.
Still a little jet lag there, Dr. Woody.
A little jet lag. Maybe that's between that and the coffee. I'm working through it. But David, I appreciate your concern. So in a roundabout way, I think remote work is important. It's growing increasingly important, particularly because it enables smaller companies to tap the kind of talent that they may not have locally or in your physical area. So we're no longer constrained by the labor pool of an area, right, of a physical space. You can now get the best and the brightest. You can touch them worldwide. And you don't have to be a big business to do that. So to me, that's a huge advantage.
Absolutely.
So you were just in Monaco. Tell us about that.
I know, right? Shishi, Fufu, Monaco. Not gonna lie.
Did you spot the royals?
I did not, but I walked by the palace and waved, and the guards waved at me and called security. I laughed like American guy.
The Prince of Monaco is American, but anyway, I'm going off topic. Go ahead.
And then of course his mother, famously Grace Kelly, right?
Yes, of course, yes.
It's the World Entrepreneur of the Year conference that EY has been hosting this for 17 years worldwide, and then in Palm Springs, the North American one they do in November, they've been doing for 30 years. It is the greatest world celebration of entrepreneurialism, and it's a fabulous gathering of 1,000 entrepreneurs and executives at the highest level, at the top of what they do. And what was so refreshing is, when you look at these entrepreneurs, they're so focused on the purpose of their business. I know earlier you guys talked about corporate social responsibility, blah, check the box. Companies like to do that. Or what they call social business now, which is sort of less in vogue. And the reality is, does your business have a purpose that matters, right? And the winner this year was Murid Al-Khattad, who runs ATG, a agricultural company out of Canada. His specialty is pulse crops, which are lentils, chickpeas, dried peas.
I eat all of those.
So these are proteins. So he started from his garage 15 years ago, and it's now a $1.5 billion business.
Wow.
In legumes?
And in this part of legumes, right? They're only a subset of legumes, not all legumes, just the pulse crop legumes. But what he did was he saw a problem, and he saw not only an opportunity to make money at that problem, at solving it, but he saw an opportunity to help other people, right? Get access to a very sustainable, affordable protein. So he's fed over 700 million, or served over 700 million meals to Syrian refugees.
Wow.
And he's also a top successful business. So, but he didn't go into it like, I'm going to be a social business, I'm going to be corporately responsible. He's like, I want to solve a problem that helps everybody, and also that I'm going to have a passion for, and it'll help me do well too. If that makes sense. So.
Yeah, that's pretty fascinating. Now, you were teaching sessions at this forum. What were you actually teaching?
So I
facilitating?
wasn't teaching. I did facilitate a couple sessions, and one session that we did was great. It was a round table where we talked a little bit about the gig economy and the future of uncertainty and how workers are dealing with that. So that was a lot of fun. And I think, when you just look at the U.S., and it goes a little bit to what David was saying, about remote work, the reality is, companies are relying more and more on, quote, contingent workforces, right? Because that helps them to be nimble and deal with different problems because they need different skill sets at different times, different places, sort of very transient teams. And if you look, I think in the U.S. last year, there were over 100 million 1099s filed with the IRS, which is basically independent contractor.
I got one.
Yep. I used to have those too.
We
Yep.
all
Absolutely.
know, right? So
Absolutely.
So that says something. That's a number. That's not a speculation. I think when, I've seen surveys where 83% of millennials say that they want gigging or freelance work to be the cornerstone of their career coming out of college. There was a Facebook.
I don't know how they're going to get insurance, but anyway.
And that's
not a
problem.
concern.
Yeah, nobody knows right now.
Yeah,
I mean, no one has any idea.
Yeah, that's true.
That's a real issue because guess what? We're going to have to deal with that. Whatever side you're on, it's going to be a reality because we're going to have that many contingent workers. So that said, there was another study that looked at Facebook, and they found the number 5 top job title of millennials was owner. So that mixed with the other numbers, I think we have a generation that's going to move towards that contingent gig work, but we have to make sure we find ways to make it work for everybody.
Right. Now, do you think it is working right now for everybody?
Yeah, I think it's the way of the future, no doubt about it. Look, I've been on my own for 15 years. I mean, I get it. I love it. I think the challenge, and I think this is where education and schools are going to have to come in, because we have to stop training people just to be pure thinkers and then go out into work in a job. We have to teach discipline because working for yourself requires a lot of self-discipline.
A lot more self-discipline.
A whole lot
Absolutely.
more.
Yeah.
It also requires, and everyone's capable, in varying ways. But remember, gigging isn't for everybody, too. We got to keep that in mind. If you're someone who you like to be around a lot of folks, you like to be part of a team and a regular place to go, have that identity, that's important. It's okay. It's okay
That's
to
me.
not be into gigging. Yeah.
Yeah, that's me.
Because, right, social isolation can
Yeah.
be really tough. And social support is a great predictor of happiness and a buffer of stress. So how
Absolutely.
do we make sure we facilitate a career and a life where you can gig, freelance, but get those human needs taken care of, and of course health needs, as David said.
Well,
Wow.
we are out of time, but it's so nice. We'll probably have you back, Dr. Woody, in the near future.
Love
Thank you
to.
so much for coming on.
Thank you,
thanks
Dr.
for having me.
Woody.
Next on Bold Business.